This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. All right, can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Steve, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Certainly want to express our appreciation for joining us today, the Ohio Food Service directors that are on the line. We certainly realize that you folks are busy dealing with and working through these unprecedented times. So we certainly are thankful that you took the time out to join us. I'd like to do a few introductions. I'm Steve Zakelli. I oversee West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. We have Catherine Geiser, who also is our moderator today. She is in Southern Ohio, West Virginia. Christine Sullivan from Northern Ohio and PA. We have Michelle Plinus, our Vice President of Member Development. Kathy Delamater, who is our member resource representative at the HPS office. We also are happy that our vendor partner, Gordon Food Service, has been able to join us. Specifically, Kennerly Hall, the sales manager for the Springfield Distribution Center, along with Jill Wilhide, CDS. And we also have the Imperial and Great Lakes East Division distribution centers as well. Then, of course, we have our distinguished panel, which we certainly want to thank for taking the time to put this together along with us. We'll start with Natalie Winkle from Boardman Local Schools over in Northeast Ohio, the Youngstown area specifically. Oregon City Schools, Vicki Laurel, that's Northwest Ohio, Toledo area. We have Wellston City Schools, Tina King, and then Catherine, is Terry able then? Does it appear that she joined us?
No, she's not going to be able to. They have high winds and they knocked out her Wi-Fi and she has less than a half a bar on her cell phone. So I'm just going to take her spot.
Okay, so just to let you know though, Terry Stamper, the food service director at Rock Hill Local School District, she had worked with us through this process as well, but as Catherine said, due to the storms yesterday, she's unable to join us. Both Tina and Terry are in Southern Ohio near the West Virginia-Kentucky border. So I want to just take a quick few minutes and give you some background of how this event came about. First of all, HPS's mission statement is we will help our members realize their goals and financial objectives by ensuring that all HPS offerings are relevant and provide value. The provide value piece is what started the go-to-meeting idea. Based on the fact that you folks have had to do something that I said before is unprecedented, had to make a change from what you folks do day in and day out and very quickly come up with a totally new way of distributing meals to your students. We thought that it would be beneficial to put something like this together where we talked to a number of Ohio food service directors, got some feedback, some ideas from them, and then asked some people to be on our panel. So the intention is to share some success stories, share some creative ideas. Hopefully you'll be able to get something out of this at the end of it. We will try to keep it to an hour in respect of your time. And then Gordon Food Service is going to spend a few minutes explaining some processes, some solutions, and then the same with HPS. Michelle is just going to give a quick update of some of the things that HPS is doing on your behalf as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Catherine Geiser as our moderator.
Thanks, Steve. I'm not sure how many of you have seen this, but the cover of Time magazine right now is food service directors. The title is Heroes of the Front Lines, Stories of the Courageous Workers Risking Their Own Lives to Save Ours. In addition, I'm not sure you're like us. We've been spending a lot more time as a family watching TV at night. And so I'm not sure if any of you have been watching the food truck race, but one of the contestants are the lunch ladies. So I read an article about them right now. So every Thursday they're on TV, but you know, it was taped obviously last summer, but right now they're just back on Martha's Vineyard making box lunches just like you. So I thought that was kind of neat. What we're going to do now is start our panel, and how we've broken it up is there's 5 questions that are pretty general. And we're going to drill down to them with some more specific questions. The first one is, how are you preparing and distributing meals? Every district has had to completely revamp and implement a major change of their longstanding process of students within 1 or 2 days. This rapid change, like Steve said, is completely unprecedented, and all food service directors should be commended on this immediate transformation. For this topic, we're going to cover production of meals, distribution, which seems like we've seen 2 different common options, buses, and then a central pickup location. We're also going to talk about maintaining a positive environment and then reimbursements. The production of meals will be covered throughout many topics during this hour. So to begin, Natalie, you are considered an open site. What does that mean? How do you accommodate and plan for this volume?
Well, being an open site, I never know at any moment how many students are going to go through my food distribution line. We have doubled, since we started, we have doubled every week in the amount of meals that we're giving out. We're up to 1,200 students, so that's 5 breakfasts, 5 lunch per student, so that's 12,000 meals that we're doing. So it's a lot. So what we do is we get our base target of about 1,000. And if we run close to that number, we have people that will run back into the building and start prepping more meals to help cover us, to get us through. We do our absolute best not to run out of food, because I wouldn't want to be that last shot in line that ends up not getting a meal. So that's basically how we're doing our production. As far as production records, that's another topic. We pull out different things at different times, so we don't have the same meal for every child. So what I've been doing is taking pictures of what meals we are giving out in the individual compartmentalized units. And then when I get a minute, I'm going to go back and know by how many kids I fed, what meals I fed them. So that's how we're doing it in Boardman.
Okay, great. Let's quickly cover some distribution of meals questions. Vicki, tell us about your central distribution model and how you modeled it after Chick-fil-A. I also have a picture of the brochure that you sent out.
Okay, basically what we did in order to get the information out that we were going to go ahead and do the meals is we used this brochure and we sent it to all of our media area schools. We sent it to our Facebook, and so we got the word out. We immediately started using 4 out of our 6 kitchens to do all our prep work. We have 1 central distribution site for giving out the meals, but we have 4 different kitchens that are preparing each meal. Kitchen 1 and 2 prepare all the fruit and vegetable bags, and then they store those in totes and coolers, and then they're delivered to the school on the pickup day. Kitchen 3 prepares the sandwiches, our whole grain products. They bag and store, and they all get delivered to the school for the distribution day. Our kitchen number 4 does a bag with all our breakfast cereals and our whole grain products. That does not have to be refrigerated, so we bring that over on Friday, so we don't have to gather as much for our distribution day. On pickup day, we have our assistant superintendent who greets the cars. Basically, the cars come into the parking lot and they file around the outside perimeters and then proceed up to our door, where we have 3 greeters that we modeled after Chick-fil-A, and they're basically checking all the people, because most of our people have reservations, and we too, we did 850 students and gave out 8,500 meals this week. So we have over 350 reservations with different numbers of students, and so they check in and tell us what their name is, and then we can see that they've made reservations for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 students, And then they check that box, and then they let the person know on the other end how many meals they have, and we have our meals all pre-boxed, and then a delivery person just takes out the meal, gives it to them, and they're on their way. It really takes about 15 to 20 seconds to get each car moving, and we can service up to 4 cars at a time. So it's just pretty a smooth delivery line, and they're in and they're out, and our community members do not even have to get out of the car. And we have like 20 volunteers on that day doing the distribution.
Okay, that's great. Steve, you talked to a school with a unique time for meal pickup. What was that time?
So it was interesting in talking to folks and the different things that they put together. Rather than doing them in the morning, this district is doing them early evening. And the way that came about was with feedback from the parents. It was determined that with people working and time constraints, that overall it worked out better for the distribution of the meals for early evening rather than the morning. So they made that adjustment. So I thought we'd share that if that was something that other folks might want to consider.
Okay, that's great. Now, Terry Stamper wasn't able to join us, and she was going to tell about a story. So in her district, they're doing bus delivery. So most of the meals are going out on the bus. However, they have a special accommodations for multi-handicapped students that are out of district. So all of the surrounding districts, they send their multi-handicapped students to Rock Hill. So what they're doing is their assistant superintendent and another administrator every week on Mondays when they distribute the food, they're just getting in the car and they are driving to all of their homes. They know if they have siblings, so then they're dropping off the meals on their porch. So I thought that was sort of a unique situation. Tina, I hate to put you on the spot, but did you have anything to add about buses, delivery on buses? Do you want to talk about that for like 30 seconds?
We're not busing in Woodridge, but they are in Avon Lake. And what they're doing is they take the buses directly to the schools, and the people drive right up to the bus to pick it up. There are different people in, I know through Pasonic, the districts that we deal with that are taking buses, and they are like stopping at bus stops and having the kids come up to them and get their meals that way and checking them off on the list.
Okay.
But at Woodridge, we do deliveries. We deliver directly to the houses, and then we have a pickup at site at one of the elementary schools.
Okay, thank you for that. The next topic is keeping morale high and creating a positive environment is so important. Steve, can you tell us an example of this?
Sure. In speaking to a couple different food service directors, the overall tone can certainly be somber at times because of the circumstances. So they have tried to come up with different ways throughout to increase the overall atmosphere and experience, not only for the people that are providing the meals, but also for those that are receiving it. So I thought one interesting is they started piping in music. So they brought speakers to the parking lot and are putting music over throughout the time that they're distributing the meals. This same district came up with a saying, a little bit of a change from the normal quote, but when the going gets tough, the tough get tougher. That's how they feel that they've been able to get through this. They have also had the ladies and some of the folks that are distributing sing along on some of the songs. For example, there was when Queen came on and the song "We Are the Champions," they all joined in and sang along with them. They had some of the students put together some different posters and have put them throughout the parking lot so that the students can see what they did and also just sort of lighten up the overall mood when the cars come through for the pickups.
Okay, great, thank you. Reimbursement of meals must continue through this time. Natalie and Vicki, you have two different methods of tracking reimbursements. Can you tell us how you're tracking these meals? Natalie, can you go first, then Vicki?
Sure. What we're doing is just because we've chosen the seamless summer option and we're an open program, we don't have to use our point of sale system because we have anybody from the community and bordering communities coming to our district to get meals. So we're basically doing hash marks. Every child equates to one hash mark, which equates to 5 breakfasts, 5 lunch per hash mark. So then we count out the hash marks at the end of the day and know that we did 12,000 meals total, so 6,000 breakfast, 6,000 lunch. We have younger siblings. We have that wouldn't be in our point of sale system. We have, like I said, neighboring communities that their kids are also coming to our lunch program. So because of being an open site, we're able to do it that way.
Okay, Vicki?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, from day one, we used our marketing brochure to encourage our reservations for our parents to make sure that we knew how much to make. And we also do walk-ups, so we just added 100 meals onto that, and that seems to cover our walk-ups. But what we do also is have our principals send with their communication, since we're continuing schooling online, they remind them that we have our meal pickup every Monday. Our parents are encouraged to use our emergency hotline to make their reservations via telephone number or email. This hotline is monitored daily by our secretaries, and all info is also put on a Google Doc spreadsheet that is shared with me and across 4 or 5 people in the district. So we can add those names and it's shared, and I always have an idea of how many meals we're going to have to prepare from home. I can access it at home. I can access it wherever I have my phone or my computer. So it tells us how many students are we're going to be making meals for and how many we're going to use to pick up. And we use this information also to send an email reminder to our citizens to let them know that Monday's the day to come pick up their meals. And we also have been contacting them if they don't pick up their reservations. We've had about 20% that sometimes don't make it there, and we give them an alternate date to pick up their reservations. So we're basically going through all our meals that we're preparing. So it's working out real well.
Okay, great. And then Steve, you had an example of a district still taking free and reduced apps.
So yes, based on the circumstances and the financial situation that many people find themselves in now, especially with unprecedented unemployment rates, the financial situation of many families have changed where they may have not been eligible before for free and reduced, and now under the circumstances they are. So a few food service directors mentioned that they're still accepting those. Especially since some of this, and I know it may sound a little crazy based on how busy everyone is, but how this situation may continue to work all the way through up to and including the beginning of next year. So it may help in their overall reimbursements for the meal programs for next year as well.
Okay. Throughout our interviews with 8 to 10 food service directors, we came up with a couple tools and ideas to think about. We kind of ran across InnoSeal and EconoPack is ways to make individually wrapped items. On the right are some results of EconoPack. I've also included the rep out of Columbus that you could contact. Another idea someone had was the cool school points that you accumulate. Instead of using those for your normal purchases, what they're doing is they are purchasing bags. So those are a couple examples on the left of bags that you can buy, but if you go in and do a search on bags under coolschoolcafe.com, there are a lot of different options. So throughout our interviews, we also came across some quotes that we're going to disperse throughout the presentation. And the first one, which I'm sure you can all relate to, is "We are flying by the seat of our pants." The second question is, what are you serving? Your job is feeding the children and students of your district. The goal is for them to have meals and some consistency. You need to manage the availability of stock, your current inventory, Some schools are feeding 5 days per week, 7 days per week, just breakfast and lunch, but some are providing dinner too. So we thought we would ask some questions around lunch and breakfast ideas, fruits and veggies, and kind of the evolution of how often you're serving. Again, every district has managed to find ways to make the meals work for the kids. It seems to be a balance of consistency with the school year lunches and some new ideas. Terry's not here, but I asked, she's doing a hot meal once a week. So the day that they deliver is Monday, so they're including one hot meal on that delivery day. You know, whether it's a calzone or a pizza or a sandwich, chicken nuggets, whatever it is, they're packaging it up, and then they had the community, like some of the local pizza places in the community, loan them their hot bags that they use for their delivery. And so they're able to put those into these hot bags and keep them warm. And when they go out on buses, they distribute, besides just their normal bag of food, also their one hot meal. Tina King, I hope you're on. And if you are, can you tell us some ideas that you are doing to use your current inventory? Are you fully cooking, par baking, freezing, etc.? Can you give us some thoughts on that? Tina, are you out there? Uh-oh, I don't think we can hear her. Can anyone hear her?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then I'm gonna skip that because I think Natalie has also some ideas for utilizing her current inventory. Natalie, while I try to reach Tina to see what's wrong with her speaker, would you mind taking that?
Sure. We've been doing a lot of prepackaged PB&Js, ham and cheese sandwiches and whatnot. We made ham and cheese sandwiches and that went over really well for the kids. We also used the cold bags to keep the sandwiches cold and tried to put them into the big portion bags for the kids once we got to the site where we were dispersing our meals. Over for Good Friday, we did another feed for the week, and we made chicken parm for them. So what we basically did was made rotini, sauced it, put a breaded chicken patty on it, lidded it in a microwavable container, and froze it. So when the kids got it, it was frozen. So then they could choose to eat it that day or take it home, put it back in the freezer, and eat it midweek when they were, you know, at the point where they weren't wanting any PB&Js anymore. I'm getting a little lost with some of the things for meals. I need some new ideas, but we're just trying now to pull out the things like calzones, pizza, burgers, and get those packaged. It's just, I guess one of my problems is finding containers to put them in. That's proven a little difficult, so we're working on that. Also, you know, with trying to make sure you get the proper veg and you're trying to do everything you can to stay within your guidelines, although they have been relaxed. That's basically what Boardman's doing. I'm worried, I'm really worried about, you know, if we don't come back to school, everything that's in the freezer staying there over the summer when we sort of, that's sort of costs us money. So we need to get that downsized a lot too.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna unmute everyone and see if, oh, I'm not gonna. Tina King, is there any way you can you try to speak? Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't sound like we are getting her. We'll keep trying though. Okay, so fruits and vegetables seem to be the biggest struggle. Natalie, what ideas do you have for fruit and vegetables?
We have been doing a lot of fresh veggies and fruit from the DoD. We've done carrots, we've done the individual baggies of broccoli, carrots and celery. We're offering hummus to the kids so that fresh veg works out really well. We're now getting into, I'm desperately trying to find a 3-compartment container that I can then get into using my canned green beans, corn, frozen green beans and corn, the all loving legume, baked bean, that sort of thing. But as it stands right now, we're using mostly fresh. And then when I can't find a veg, I've been substituting veg juices, which seem to work out really well. But 4 weeks in or more, the kids are starting to get tired of the same veg over and over again. So I'm up for any ideas anyone has.
Okay. Vicki, can you update us all on the latest status of a waiver?
I know that we went ahead and applied for the waiver because we were having a hard time getting all our fruits and vegetables and also the costs of finding them in this area. So we did apply for the waiver and it was approved. I heard back from our consultant. So if you need that waiver, I do believe it is on the 3 points of discussion that they send out. And it was a very simple process. So we did, like I said, apply for the waiver and we're approved.
Okay. Green has come up with a new approach to obtain fruits and vegetables. Can you explain that?
So with the DOD monies that folks have, and I know that a number of you have run out, but they are working on reallocating. One of the districts had their distributor, and I realize that there are different distributors throughout Ohio as far as where you get your DOD from, but this particular distributor, she set up where she could continue to work with them through commercial pricing. And in the interim period of time of filling out a credit application, they approved the school to use their school credit card, their purchase card. So it has enabled her to continue to get a lot of the produce that she was previously getting using her DOD dollars. And probably more importantly than anything, she said, is that it is allowing her to continue to get a lot of the prepackaged vegetables that she so much wants, so that she's not having to deal with cutting up and packaging their own vegetables. So we thought that was interesting.
Okay. Vicki, since we're having some problems with one of our panel members, is there anything you wanted to add around using existing inventory, meals that are not, that are cooked or frozen, or any vegetable ideas?
We're just, we have been using the yogurt and doing a light lunch for the kids, and that seems to go over really well. And we've been using a lot of carrots for sure. And at the beginning, we used the tomatoes, and we were a little concerned about broccoli because we put all of our food in the totes, and we were afraid that that might make the meal smell a little bit. So we kind of stayed away from that. But we've also used the veg juice, and that seems to be working out real well. But our light lunch, the kids really seem to like that. And we use the peanut butter Uncrustables, and on all our boxes, we put the warning that it does contain peanut butter. So things are working out. We're basically doing about the same lunch though every week. So we're not doing a lot of variety.
Okay. Tina King, are you on? Can you talk? If you can at any point, just butt in. I know that what she's doing is she's doing some par baking. They're cooking cheeseburgers, and then they're refreezing them, or sometimes they're handing out just frozen stuff with frozen pizzas with labels on it, how to cook. So there are some other options. One thing I say for Rock Hill is, and they started with 5 days a week, then they went to 3, and then they went to 1. This sort of went with the number of cases in their county. So as the number of cases went up, and they have very few cases based on their location, but now the superintendent, just to limit exposure, has now reduced it to just 1 time per week. Okay, so the next, my kids are thankful. They told me they were sick of my grilled cheese. So question 3, what type of support are you receiving? In this crisis, there are daily news reports about volunteers and assistance for our sick, elderly, isolated, and local businesses. How is the community supporting the feeding of your children and helping your efforts? How are you utilizing teachers and administration? How are you partnering with nonprofits, food banks, neighborhood restaurants, and others? So Natalie, tell us how a local mass merchant helped you with your fruit and vegetable need, and they also helped you with a recent holiday. Can you tell us about this?
Sure. We had a very, very wonderful person from Walmart who was the general manager of 3 local Walmarts. They called me and asked me, what can they do? They wanted to do a community outreach and they just weren't sure how they could help us, but they knew they wanted to help us. So after a couple of discussions back and forth, I told her we were looking for fruit. We were looking for any veg, any fruit that we could give to the kids that doesn't need processing, because we had so many other things that we had to process. And I also, it was a couple days before Easter, so we were giving out a Good Friday feeding. And I said, I would really love to be able to give them a treat, some sort of something, because I was of the opinion if the parents weren't able to afford the food, they sure as heck couldn't afford to buy the kids a snack for Easter. So I asked Walmart if they would mind donating some jelly beans. So the next day they showed up at my school with 2 pickup trucks full of fruit, vegetables, zippy bags, Giant Eagle, or I'm sorry, not Giant Eagle, grocery store bags for us to bag the lunches into. They gave, I can't even tell you, we had an 8-foot long table full of jelly beans and Easter candy and little Easter eggs and things that we could give each child a treat. We gave out 1,200 to 1,200 students, and each one of them got a treat. So it made us feel good. It made us know that the kids were getting a surprise, and for Walmart to step up and do that for us, it actually brought tears to my eyes, because they kept coming in and getting another flatbed and filling it up and bringing in more stuff. And it was just great to see. And as far as like community leaders helping, we have police officers that come and help with traffic. We have police officers just standing there to show a sign of support if you would get somebody who maybe was choosing not to follow the rules and how we have it set up. We also have, my superintendent puts out a volunteer sign-up sheet every week to say we need like 20 people to pack meals and 10 people to pass out meals. And those volunteer sheets get filled up within hours of him posting it. So there's a lot of community help out there. You just have to try to pull people together and see where you can get your help from. So if it were me, I would suggest anybody that has a Walmart, Target, Home Depot, any of those type of stores around you, call them and see if there's anything that they can help with, even if it's helping to pass out or financially giving you money to buy a trinket for the kids, something that they can do for you.
Okay, thank you. That's great. And then I know Tina and Terry, their districts are in a small rural communities, and they have leaned pretty heavily on the local ministries and the local like food banks. I know, Terry, there's a Backpack Buddies that usually delivers a bag of food every Friday, so to the students during a normal school year. They've partnered with them. Local grocery stores have given hundreds of loaves of bread to pass out. Their churches have made masks for everybody. They've reached out to nurses within their schools and are utilizing their masks and gloves. They've reached out to the grocery stores, the neighboring grocery stores, and have received a lot of different bags and boxes to box things up. So they've kind of utilized social media and the radio and newspaper to kind of reach out to those partners. Steve, I know you had a story about kind of them making a Happy Meal. Can you tell us about that?
So yeah, similar to the McDonald's, along the same lines of trying to make things different and fun for the kids. To your point of trying to reach out and solicit any donations that you're able to get from the surrounding community. They were able to get coloring books, crayons, activity books, And any of that stuff, especially more geared towards the elementary students, they included those into the lunch breakfast bags and were able to then turn them into Happy Meals.
Okay, great. I know that volunteers are essential, and in Tina King's district, what they're doing is any employee that is getting paid, but there's work for them. So they're not a teacher or a bus driver. So it'd be like an aide or an assistant. They are utilizing them, supervising them to come in and help with the food distribution. So they're kind of looking at their employee database to see who can they use, rely on. Vicki, I know you're also using volunteers. Can you tell us a little bit about who they are?
Sure. Our volunteers are basically our teachers, our administrators, our bus drivers, our secretaries, our food service workers, and our paras. And they're all getting paid also. And so we are using who we need when we need them. But the special thing about our volunteer group is it's the same group to minimize exposure to ourselves. We use them every week. And so we have more than enough people who want to volunteer, but we're kind of telling them, you know, we're just using the same group because we know where we've all been. We've all been around just each other. So we're trying to look out for ourselves also. And our maintenance department is the other part that has been crucial for us because they're the ones moving all our bins to our central location. And even at the beginning of this, we changed all our food so that we had every food component in the right kitchen. That was the first thing that we did, which ended up being the best thing that we did because everyone had the food that they needed in the right kitchen. So we did a massive switch of the 6 kitchens. We put all our meat in one kitchen. We put all our bread in one kitchen. We just, where it was going to be made so that we could do this mass quantity serving. So it's worked out really good, and our volunteers have been crucial to it. Crucial.
I know Natalie had.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Vicki, I have a question for you. Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I know you said that your crew is getting paid. Are they getting paid on top of their regular pay or no?
No,
Okay.
they're getting. We did an MOU with our union right away because in our contract we didn't have to pay our employees. So we did an MOU and said we would pay them, but if they were considered essential employees, they had to come work. And we're only using a few. We're not using a lot. You know, we're just using the ones who, with my head cooks, and then a small team at some of the schools. And I was going to get into that a little bit later in this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to move on. Another quote: "You are a lifesaver. We are first responders, and our kids are home alone. Each kid has their own bag of meals, and they love it." 4, how are you ensuring safety? All of us have been paying close attention to Governor DeWine and Dr. Acton's daily conference. By now, we all know the importance of social distancing and safety to flatten the curve. How are we doing this while still feeding our children? Vicki, I know you have an instance where you have 2 head cooks that had significant safety concerns and they wanted to be isolated. What did you do to accommodate them?
So basically what we did with my first head cook, she had a handicapped child that she was very concerned about her being exposed. And so she comes in and she just works in her own kitchen and in her own school. And she also brings her 19-year-old daughter who's bored, and they're just putting fruit and vegetables together. So they're working together in their kitchen. The ironic thing on that was her other daughter, who was a medical professional, was exposed, and she was under quarantine. So we had to shut that operation down. We shut the whole kitchen down with our head cook there. But thank goodness her daughter tested negative, and she'll be coming back after her 14-day quarantine. So we're still keeping her out, even though her daughter tested negative, just for safety concerns. And then in my second kitchen, she's 65 years old. She's concerned about her age, so she kept her group of 2 people that came in and helped her, and that's all that she does is she just helps prepare the meals. She doesn't come and get exposed on the day of delivery, and they just work together. And then her husband has also been helping with some of the delivery items. So we've kept those 2 kitchens very contained and very small in order to protect our employees.
Okay. I know Tina at Wellston, what they're doing is if anyone's 65 or older, they're not allowed to help. So they're a bit excused. They also, when they enter the building, they're getting their temperature taken every day. And then obviously, like all of us, are using our the masks and gloves. So just in the interest of time, you know, just kind of a summary. I mean, all this seems pretty self-explanatory, but kind of some of the safety options that we've come across, you know, limit distribution locations and days, obviously wear protective gear, minimize the number of staff that interacts with the public, you know, avoid direct contact, use tables and carts. I know one location was actually wheeling carts between tables to kind of pull that meal together. Prepare and pack food in large areas. A lot of people are moving to their cafeteria instead of the kitchen, and obviously create space, and then wash your hands. I'm sure you guys have heard this quote 1,000 times. I'm not sure what I would do without these meals. We got about 1 minute to cover this topic before we move into GFS. So how are you communicating with your district? Since the situation is new and continually evolving, how are you reaching your community? I'm just going to take this question and ask if anyone has anything to add, but I know with Terry and Tina, they're in smaller communities, so they're utilizing radio stations, their local newspapers, all call, Facebook. We saw Vicky's brochure that she pulled together. They're doing flyers in their meals, anything they can to reach out. I know Vicky is using Google Docs, which is a great way because you could, for reservations, because multiple people can add to that. Natalie or Vicky, did you have anything quick to add to that list?
The only thing I have is we have a PR person on staff, and she does put news releases out, and that really helps. And what I found is if we prepare for 1,000 children and maybe the last hour or so we still have 100 children's worth of meals left, I have my superintendent make an all call. And on the all call, he'll say, hey, just in case you haven't been out to pick up your meal, don't forget we're here for another hour. Within 10 minutes, the line is long again, and we're giving out the rest of the meals. So it's really helped to communicate in all pathways, Facebook, newspaper, any way you can. And I think for us in our community, it's nice because a lot of the other school districts around me are also doing it on Mondays, which we pass it on Mondays, because that way parents aren't taking the chance on coming to my district and going to another district. And, I jokingly said it's kind of like trick or treat. So.
Okay. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, so now, so I know not sure which food service director said this, but they did have to tell someone they are not DoorDash. Okay, so this I wanted to introduce Kennerly Hall and Jill Wilhide. They're going to talk for 10 minutes about some of the things Gordon Food Service is doing. Are you guys on?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear both of you.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to participate in this meeting and your meal programs. I wanted to just take a few minutes and address a few topics, and I would like to stress the importance of an open line of communication with your Gordon Food Service team. Out of stocks have been a challenge, and we are working daily with our logistics team to try to get the right items in for you. Obviously, we went from a plethora of items to really now the focus has been on about 100 items. So we are continuing daily to try to get the right items in stock for you. And I certainly appreciate you working with your IST and your CDS to find the alternative. Forecasting is going to be more important now than ever before. Please work with the CDSs on ramp down timing for when you're going to transition from the rest of this school year into summer feeding, and then the needs that you'll have for your summer feeding programs. And most of you may be aware of our customer demand planner. This is going to be very important for ramp up inventory in the hopes that we are back to normal in August. And then in late June through July, we will continue to monitor all the items on bid for availability, as we do expect that the ripple effect that this will have on the manufacturers and what they're producing. I can't encourage you enough to reach out to your CDSs or your ISTs or any of the food service team. And now I'll turn it over to Jill.
So, as you know, the GFS team has gone from delivering a whole lot of cases in a day to drastic reduction in that. So one of the things that we did was we eliminated temporarily the Wednesday delivery. And for a lot of folks that switched their delivery to a new day, and that has also, whether you got your delivery on a Wednesday or you got it on a different day, sometimes this has impacted the normal time of your delivery. So one of the things we really want to encourage you all to use is the Gordon Now app. So if you, this Gordon Now digital assistant, it's available either on an app, there's a voice assistant, and there is a chat bot. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so if you, whether you have an iPhone or you have an Android, you can go to the Gordon Now in your store, and once you've downloaded that, just so you know, it's a gray with, or it's white with gray and red lettering. So after you've downloaded it, then you can use your GFS regular experience login that you use when you are placing your GFS order. If for any reason you don't have one of those and you're the person who's maybe now in charge of that, just contact your representative and we can get a username and password for you right away. I know that one of my districts, the lady who was in charge of the ordering's no longer doing it. Somebody different's doing it now. So if you ever need a username and password, let us know. Once you've logged in, then you're going to have access to all kinds of wonderful things. You can see information about your driver. You can see time of when your delivery is forecasted to arrive. And then also a contact page that has telephone numbers for your rep, your inside salesperson, your Chem Bev person. And you can just scroll back and forth using the tabs at the bottom of the page. So let's go to the next slide. So this is your driver info page. It'll show you a picture of what your driver looks like. It gives you an estimated 2-hour window, or it gives you a 2-hour window for the delivery, but then also an estimated actual time of delivery. And that does update throughout the morning and into the afternoon. So it's going to get even more accurate as the day goes on, as far as giving you a time to plan for your delivery to come to the back door. You also can see if you have any out of stocks, if there's any short ships, anything like that. Go to the next page. Your current delivery tab is going to show you everything that's coming on your truck. So if you think, oh my gosh, I don't remember if I actually ordered those green beans or if I just needed to, you can go on there and you can just scroll right through and see if you actually did or not. So that'll be great. If you need to, you can also check your past 30 days history just by clicking on the past orders if you want to. Next slide. And then this page is really great. I know a lot of times people will have our business card in the office and then they think, oh my gosh, I need to get in touch with my rep or, oh, I need to call and check on this with inside sales. The card is back at the office. So if you've got this loaded onto your phone, you can go right to this page. It's going to show you all of the people that you need. Also, one thing that I would recommend is if you see down there at the bottom, you can add a contact. So if you want to put an additional person in, maybe you want to put somebody that's a broker, or maybe you want to put somebody that you've met through GFS, whether it's somebody from the marketing team, somebody from the Nutrition Resource Center, any of those numbers. I also think it's great to put in the number for the help desk if you have a technical question. They're really super to help. So I think that is another great number, but you can add as many as you want to. Next slide. Speaking of those customer technology folks, if you have not ever talked to them, I would really recommend calling them if you ever need help. They are super. All of the people that work there are English speaking and very easy to understand, very, very patient. I think a lot of times we call places and we feel like you can hear them rolling their eyes in the background. Anybody ever have that happen? I know that sometimes, they make me feel like that when I call a company. And so I really, really appreciate that about our customer technology support folks. They are great. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to call any of us as far as your GFS sales reps, your customer development specialists is what we're called. And we just really appreciate your business. We know you're working hard, and we appreciate that we get to partner with you and do that.
All right. Thank you very much, Jill and Kennerly. I also wanted to add something since we're done with the panel portion. I know we weren't allowed, we didn't have a lot of time to take a lot of questions. So if you guys have any feedback for today, or if there's something that you would like to do, maybe in a future webinar next week or the week after, to make it a little bit more interactive, please send me an email at cgeyser. Well, at the last page will have my information, and you also should have it on some of the invites. Please feel free to send me an email and let me know what information you would like, what questions you would have liked answered, and any ideas that you have. Okay, on that note, we're going to turn it over to Michelle Plinus. She is our Vice President of Development with HPS, and she's just going to talk for just a minute or two about any questions that we have been getting and any assistance that we might be able to provide.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, we really wanted to thank our participants today and sharing all your stories, amazing things that you guys are doing out there. And then also all of you, we had over 80 people on this call, so we really appreciate everybody participating today and hearing what we had to share. First and foremost, what has HPS been doing? We are open, we are all working, whether it be from home or from the office, essential to what you guys do every day. So the main focus that has been of ours is really understanding your challenges and what products you're looking for. And just so you know, we have daily meetings and reports that we receive from Gordon Food Service on what you guys are buying, and we're trying to understand what your needs are and working with Gordon's and the manufacturers to fulfill those needs. So if there's specific things that you guys are needing or trying to source, please reach out to all of us and let us know what you're looking for. Lastly, also on that note, I wanted to let you guys know that last week we had a conversation. And as many of you know, we have the HPS menu planner that we've been working on the past couple of years. And we are going to seriously take a look at doing a cycle menu for members, because looking forward at back to school, we think we all have challenges now, but as this all ramps back up and everybody gets back to school in the fall, what's that going to look like? So Kevin Crampton and his team and the menu planner team are going to be working on trying to put some type of cycle menu together for our members. And that will truly help, we believe, forecasting and also product availability as we move into the fall time when school gets back at that time. We've had a lot of questions on monitoring off-program purchases and, I'm buying all of this and it's not on bid, what's going to happen to me? Understand that this is the exact time when emergency purchasing comes into place. And so when you're going through your procurement review, times like these, there's a clause in the federal procurement that talks about emergency purchases, and understand that that's where this will fall. Interestingly enough, though, when members are calling us and asking about that, we've been pulling reports out of HPS CAP, which is our contract analysis tool, and we have found that many of the items that you guys are purchasing through Gordon Food Service are on program. So if you would like to know your report, please reach out to Catherine or Christine or Steve and let us know, and we will actually look that up for you and help you through that process. And the last thing on that note is to understand is that if it's something you're going to continually purchase and we do find it's off program or better known as off bid, know that, for instance, you can reach out to us and we can, going forward, if your purchases continue at the level they are today, our contracting team will work with you on our committees to see if we can bring that on program. And then the last question we've been getting mainly to is about rebates. So understand that everything on the HPS program, whether it's on program or off program, you are going to be achieving a rebate on that. So what's going to happen to your rebates in June? Of course, as we've talked about, purchases are down, everybody's purchases are down. The reports that we've been receiving at HPS, about 50% of our education volume has decreased in the last month. So just know that even though you'll receive a rebate on everything, if your purchases are down, your rebates will be also down accordingly. And then you'll see these last few notes on the screen. What we are trying to do, we know you guys are receiving emails and emails every day. So we decided at HPS is we're going to put all of our COVID-19 resources right on our website, hpsgpo.com. So please refer to that as you're looking. Every day we get different information and we update it. The biggest next update will be a recording of this seminar. So if you have colleagues or friends that weren't able to attend today and you think it was valid information and for them to receive, please share that and let them know that it'll be recorded and posted out on our website. And so with that, thank you so much again for your time, and I'm going to hand it over to Steve.
Thank you, Michelle. As we wrap this up, as you can see, we have some of our names, contact information. I think that everyone already has this, but if you do have any questions further, please feel free to reach out to myself, Christine, Catherine. Our website is there. We have updated a number of things on our website. So if you have not been to our website lately, I would highly recommend it. Our communications and marketing team has done a great job revamping that. And just as a full wrap up, I want to, I would really be remiss to not call a few things out. You know, I have been involved with school food service and you folks directly or indirectly for around 10 years now. Prior to that, I was in the restaurant business and operations, very similar to you folks in a number of different capacities. And I can honestly say, having worked in the restaurant business and seeing what you folks do and deal with day in and day out, that I would not be able to do your job. I have just come up with such a great respect and admiration for all of you folks and everything that you have to deal with on a day in, day out basis. And then taking into consideration these unprecedented times and how you folks have done a complete turnaround so quickly is further testament to what you folks are capable of. It's interesting. I've been saying this for quite some time. Often it is from extenuating circumstances that you really realize and value people and things. And so through this time, I truly believe that students, especially parents and the community, finally are giving the respect and accolades to food service, school food service, that should have been there all along. And the Time Magazine thing is a perfect example of that, I believe. So with that being said, hang in there, continue to serve the kids that are in so many cases in need of this. Who knows what the future holds and how much longer that this may continue. But please know that in representation of myself, HPS, as well as our vendor partner, Gordon Food Service, we appreciate everything that you folks are doing. This was recorded, so if you know folks that were not able to join us, this will be sent out as a video by Catherine in our communications department, along with some additional information. So we are hopefully looking at doing something like this again in the future. So thank you very much again, and continue to fight the fight. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to